how federal policy stands in the way of the VA being able to deal with substance abuse in the veteran population. When guys get injured, they get put on these drugs, and if you stay on OxyContin or oxycodone for more than a year,
You're cooked. You're
like
cooked.
you
Yeah.
stay on it for a month, 60% of the
A
people,
couple weeks for some people, they're
well,
full
yeah,
blown.
60% of the people will develop a dependency or an addiction to it, a physical one,
Yeah,
because that's always in your system while you're using it,
yeah,
24 hours a day. So you stay on that drug for 3 months, 90% of the people will become addicted, dependent. Like 100% after a year or two. 100% of the people are dependent. There's 0% of the people who can use that medication and not develop a dependency
yeah,
or an addiction to it.
yeah.
And yeah, I shared with Joe, just so that you guys understand what I'm referencing. I shared with him the letter that I sent to my congressman, bringing up some of the key factors of my experience as a veteran who dealt with substance abuse and suicide. And I wrote him a very detailed letter about how federal policy sabotages the VA's effort to effectively deal with veteran substance abuse and suicide. When it comes to veterans, and this is something that I'm very passionate about, when it comes to veterans, there's no way to detach substance abuse from the 6,000 veterans who commit suicide every year. I'm going to say that again. 6,000 of our American service personnel who serve overseas come back home. 6,000 of them a year commit suicide.
That's
That
a
is
lot.
like 9/11 happening twice to this very, very small subsection in
It's basically like
American
one guy
culture.
in every single town in America or something.
Well, I mean, the numbers they stand on their own, and part of the reason why this issue is so hard to confront is because it's not just a front faced issue. What I'm about to say, zero of these veterans were not also contending with a substance abuse problem. All of them have substance abuse problems. It is only in the darkness of drug dependency and alcoholism that suicide becomes tenable as an option. It is only when you're at the end of the road and you've lost all hope and your life turns into what mine was when I was drinking that suicide starts to look like an attractive option, a reasonable one.
Yeah,
And that's why I started writing our representatives, because I want them very much to change this federal policy, so that AA is brought more into the fold when it comes to the VA. They have very, very specifically, if I'm going to talk about policy for a second, not to get overcomplicated about it or anything,
yeah. What would you
but
ideally have happen that you think is a realistic thing that can be
they
done?
have they have a non-religious preference for 12-step programs, and this policy is sort of it's geared so that no one group feels excluded, right? So that if you have a faith-based program that's Christian in nature, that Muslims don't feel excluded from it, right? That's the
Yeah,
thinking behind this policy. But this policy is not born in recovery from these substances. And AA is not like a denominational faith-based organization. There actually is no attachment, no direct attachment to Christianity, to Judaism, to Islam, or to any of the other religions. All that they ask you to do is accept and that there is a higher power, and they leave it
yeah.
ambiguous like that for a reason. That's how they phrase things in the program. I would like to see our policies when it comes to the VA, the direction given to the VA that excludes this atheistic view of recovery, because that policy does not come from a recovery centered. It's not, that policy isn't written with recovery from substance abuse and suicide. It's not geared towards that. That policy is it has another direction and another agenda to it. I am moving in the direction of recovery from substance abuse, and by effectively addressing substance abuse, you will also address suicide amongst our veterans.
Yeah.
It's a 1-to-1. If somebody is not habitually engaging in drinking and substance abuse, and they manage to get sober, their chances for suicide drop exponentially. There have been 0 veterans who have committed
So
suicide.
it's a cofactor.
Right.
Mm.
Right. And that's because recovery becomes about living your life again. It becomes about positively engaging and creating a purpose for yourself again. You know, you said that that at one point you would sort of empathize with me seeing myself as a victim. There's a lot to that, Joe, in accepting the idea that you are a victim. Then it becomes very rational for you to say, well, this is just how I deal with that now. I don't accept victimhood. I've never thought of it as something that should be praised. I think that strong people manage to get over terrible things that happen in their lives. And they refuse to identify themselves as victims. We have like a victim culture on the left that's their entire moral premise is completely inverted. And
perverted.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is perverted for and inverted in every possible way that you could think that I'm addressing that. So, like, you know, I mean, that's that. And to talk about like possibly engaging my wife, my life, you know, that's like when you're living your life sober through the program, you begin to take positive steps in a direction that gives you a meaning. And that's where it came to working with these wonderful animals that you have on the screen. That's how I met my wife.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get. If we can talk a little bit about the tiger part and how you met your wife, and how, you know, things ended up working out really well for you. And the tigers, the working with the tigers is just like kind of its own amazing thing on its own.
Well,
and a privilege. It's actually like a privilege.
Right.
It's not a thing that like you know, these are kind of like the gods of the animal world. This is not like, you know, like I view it as kind of a privilege.
Well, I worked with mountain lions in relocating them in Wisconsin with my dad. And that's, you know, you trap them or you tranquilize them. Like mountain lions in North America, a mountain lion is much smaller animal than a tiger is. And they don't live naturally in Wisconsin. They actually live in the southern area, south in southern Illinois, extending down to Missouri. There's a population that lives there. That's a breeding population. That's an established population. They are there. And then there's another population of mountain lions that live in like Canada. And so when the police or regular people in Wisconsin would sight a mountain lion, my dad and I used to go and track it down, and if we could, tranquilize it, and then take it up into the northern parts of Wisconsin, away from people, and release it, because they were all migrating males or females that were looking to go to that population that was in Canada to our north. And so we would get them past the populated areas where they would come across people. And I went to go and do a very similar thing, and I won't be very specific about it. But that is doing that sort of exact thing with these animals was sort of how, like, my wife found me. And we did that together there in Thailand. And that's how I got to know her. That's how our relationship started with each other. And I went back to Thailand 3 times. My relationship with her furthered and deepened each time. Now I am married to her, and she is living here in the United States with me, and going through and getting her her citizenship, her becoming a naturalized citizen in the United States. She has her application outstanding with USCIS, and is going through the process. But she has helped to change my life, and she comes with me. Believe it or not, Joe, she she supports me absolutely in the AA program. She comes with me to these meetings. I was very upfront and told her about my substance abuse history in our first conversation with each other. And she has never seen me use a drug or take a drink in my life.